We turn now to the desperate search for 20-year-old Najib Monsif. To many, he is known as Juby. And tonight, his story is one we continue to follow here on NewsNation Prime as part of our Missing in America series. Juby disappeared from his home in Scottsdale, Arizona, more than 2 weeks ago. He is on the autism spectrum, and his family says although he is a young man, he has the mental capacity of an 8-year-old child, and they are worried that Juby fell into the wrong hands and was possibly lured away online playing video games. I spoke with Juby's sister live here on the air last night on Prime, and I asked her what she would say to anyone who may have her brother tonight.
My brother is very loved, and my family is committed to getting him back. If you can find the kindness in your heart to help us find him or come forward, or if you know anything, please call the Scottsdale police. And if you don't, your road will come to an end eventually, because we're not going to stop.
And you can sense the panic and the fear and the helplessness in her voice. Joining me now is Detective John Heinzelman with the Scottsdale Police Department to talk about Juby's case and the latest efforts to try to bring him home to his family. Detective, appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you for having me on.
So Juby's sister told me last night that he's out there and she believes he is not alone. Do you think that Juby was lured away based on the evidence that you have so far?
This is an interesting case with the dynamics that are in play. Juby is 20 years old, although he is on the spectrum, and they're concerned for him in that respect. But he also has a little bit of will of his own. He does play online video games. He does communicate with the outside world. So we're going back to the basics. We're starting from the house and working outward. At this point, we don't know exactly what's happened to him or where he's gotten. Our latest findings are that he's most likely not on his own, that he has to have some sort of help to get out of the neighborhood where he is, or we would have found him by now.
Let's start with the digital trail. You begin at the house. You begin by looking at what he may have been doing or who he may have been talking to online. Have you been able to uncover anything that gives you some answers?
Juby had a large online presence. He video gamed online with his brother and some other friends. He has a Twitter account and some other Gmail and some other things that we're looking at. So right now we're trying to see, is there any communication that we can follow up on? Is there someone that he spoke with the evening before he went missing that could give us a little bit of clue into what he was thinking at the time and what his plan was as far as leaving the house.
And what have you found?
So far, a lot of that stuff is still pending. Some of these companies that have that data, it takes a bit of time to get the legal paperwork to them, and then they get the response. So we're expediting as much as we can. We found a couple of people, friends and other family members that we've spoken with, but as of this point, we don't have any solid leads to go with to see where he may be right now.
We have seen the power of social media, the power of people online in the Gabby Petito case. In any other missing persons case with a lot of extra attention, you have these sleuths who are digging for digital information to help in the investigation. Have you had anyone come forward who may have come in contact with Juby either online or in person that's been able to point you in the right direction?
We've received hundreds of tips as far as seeing him or things that we should look at as far as investigating. Unfortunately, we haven't received any information from anyone who can give us the information on where he was or to positively say that they've seen him or they've talked to him the night or the subsequent days since he's been missing.
Detective, we were just showing some video of the Albertsons near Juby's home. How does that play into this, and any surveillance cameras that were able to glean any light on your investigation?
The area where Juby lives is a residential area, but it is adjacent to these shopping centers. So the Albertsons is on one corner. There's another large shopping center across the street and actually on the opposite side. So 3 of these 4 corners have banks and several businesses that we've been canvassing to try to get some video to determine, is it possible that we captured him just walking by, or a vehicle or anything. Some of the difficulty right now is we have a large time window, anywhere from 2 a.m. until 7 a.m. what we're looking at, and a lot of these cameras don't necessarily focus on the roadway or the sidewalk. They're more for the business, so they're a bit limited in that. But we are definitely still pouring through everything we can.
And Detective, because Juby is vulnerable, has special needs, the mental capacity of a child, according to his family, how does that influence the search for him and really the urgency right now that he could be in danger?
There's definitely urgency in finding Juby. We're looking at it to say that he probably cannot take care of himself. He certainly wouldn't have the capacity to drive a car or even tell people his address or things like this. So we're definitely considering him vulnerable. And at this point, it is a race against the clock to try to find him.
We have had some people reach out and wonder why an Amber Alert wouldn't be issued in a case like this. Can you explain why? And are you working with outside agencies beyond Scottsdale to look?
Yes. So first off, an Amber Alert wouldn't necessarily kick in, more or less, because of his age. However, we have issued a Silver Alert, which is for a missing endangered adult. So we have reached out to the FBI and other agencies throughout the valley, as well as nationwide, for any sort of help. He is entered as a missing person on our social media through Scottsdale, with our websites and our Twitter account. And we're reaching out to whoever has information or whoever can help us find him. We'll gladly take anything we can get.
And I know time is so critical right now as every day goes by for his family and for you all. What are you asking of the community and the public right now, and anyone who may be watching who knows something?
Well, first off, we have to realize that, again, Juby is 20 years old, although he acts younger, but he may be communicating with somebody, and he may have told them that he's looking to get away or he's looking to leave his home. So there might be somebody who's helping him that has no idea that he's actually missing. So really what we're hoping for is for the public to call, to report whatever they see, even if they don't think it's necessarily going to give us some information, but to say, I saw someone that looks like him, and we will follow up on every tip we get. So it's important that we have as much broad reach as we can get.
Every piece of information helps. Detective Heinzelman, thank you for the update. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me on.
And if you have information that could help Juby's family tonight and get him home safely, please contact the Scottsdale Police Department. That number is on your screen, or call 911.